He recalled their boasts of stockpiling arms in the ghettos for an impending revolution and feared bloody reprisals on his Spahn Ranch family. A wave of paranoia swept through the residents of the ramshackle ranch, and for a while the usual evening frolics were exchanged for weapon handling seminars and lookout duties. It was in this desperate atmosphere of unfounded fear and dread that the Manson tribe would graduate to its most damnable deeds. Gary Hinman was a 34-year-old music teacher who had been a steady supplier of drugs to the Manson family. When Bobby Beausoleil discovered that a high-priced purchase of the hallucinogenic mescaline was of a decidedly low quality, he took 2 of the girls to Hinman's Topanga Canyon home to demand a refund. Hinman became troublesome and was subdued and threatened by the trio for hours, to no avail. Beausoleil eventually called Manson and requested that he aid in settling the matter. Upon Charlie's arrival, Hinman expressed relief, assuming that his tormentors would now be called off. To convince the stubborn Hinman that paying his debt would be the wiser course of action, Manson resorted to bravado. He split Hinman's ear with a small sword and hurriedly left. The girls attended to Gary's wound and fed him, though the frustrated Beausoleil would soon begin a new cycle of unproductive threats. When the standoff ended its second day, nerves were frayed all around, and due to his now delirious state, Hinman suddenly began struggling and screaming for help. Reacting with a savage impulse, Beausoleil then descended on his hostage and fatally stabbed him. In desperation, the group would employ a gruesome device to help mislead authorities. The words "political piggy" were scrawled on the wall in blood, along with a panther paw symbol, to suggest the murder was the work of black militants. The girls then returned to the ranch while Beausoleil headed north in his victim's car. He was promptly arrested in the stolen vehicle and was soon being held as a murder suspect. Manson became frantic when he learned of the Hinman murder. He knew that soon investigators would link Beausoleil with the Spahn Ranch group, and his return to prison would be inevitable. Distraught over Bobby's capture and the incessant brooding of their leader, the girls devised a wicked plan, the committing of a random, look-alike murder, bearing all the same grisly elements, would undoubtedly bring about Beausoleil's release. Manson approved the scheme and selected Susan Atkins, who had been present at Hinman's murder, Patricia Krenwinkel, and newcomer Linda Kasabian to carry it out. Because he owed a debt of sorts to Manson, Tex Watson was appointed as leader of this drug-soaked death squad. The last hurdle would be the selection of an ideal murder site. Both Watson and Manson recalled a secluded, sprawling estate in Benedict Canyon, where they had visited Doris Day's record-producing son, Terry Melcher, some months before. They knew the current residents were certain to be high-profile Hollywood types that would generate a great deal of press attention. Manson instructed the girls to do whatever Tex told them. And with that, the youthful band of assassins slipped into the night. Sharon Tate was a lovely 26-year-old actress who had rapidly risen through the Hollywood ranks. She appeared in a succession of well-received offbeat films, including the classic horror spoof, The Fearless Vampire Killers.
Who says vampires are no laughing matter? They certainly are. Two men on a vampire hunt. Simple? They certainly are.
Sharon would soon marry the film's eccentric Polish director, Roman Polanski, who had created a cinematic sensation with his eerie, satanic tale, Rosemary's Baby. By August 8th of 1969, Tate was 8 months pregnant with Polanski's child and spending a quiet evening in the company of friends. With Polanski in England on business, Sharon had invited ex-boyfriend Jay Sebring to keep her company. Sebring was an internationally known hairdresser to the stars, who was no stranger to the Hollywood fast lane. Also visiting that evening was Abigail Folger, the coffee heiress, and her virtual gigolo companion, Wojtek Frykowski, a known drug supplier to the industry in crowd. Upon arriving at the tranquil scene, Watson carefully clipped the phone wire outside the gate and led the girls up an embankment that would give them easy access to the grounds. In the driveway, they encountered 18-year-old Steve Parent as he prepared to leave after a visit with the guest house resident, groundskeeper William Garretson. Watson rushed Parent's vehicle, and through the window he shot and slashed the helpless teenager to death. Having officially begun the bloody spree, Watson ordered Linda Kasabian to stand lookout near the gate, while the others eagerly proceeded to the main house. There they found Wojtek Frykowski napping on a flag-draped sofa. He was hastily awakened and bound up, and when he inquired of his captor, "Who are you?" Watson hissed, "I am the devil, and I'm here to do the devil's business." The girls gathered Folger, Tate, and Sebring from other rooms in the house and led them to Watson, who attempted to truss them with rope from an overhead wooden beam. When Sebring protested on pregnant Sharon's behalf, Watson instantly shot him, setting off a panic in which Frykowski and Folger struggled furiously with the knife-wielding girls. Frykowski battled his way to the front porch, where Watson shot, bludgeoned, and stabbed him repeatedly until he expired on the lawn. Only yards away, Folger, too, had made a courageous break for freedom, but had been tackled and stabbed by Patricia Krenwinkel. Watson then joined Krenwinkel to aid in the killing of Folger. In the wake of this bloody pandemonium, a calm had now settled over the estate, and the killers re-entered the house to find Sharon Tate frantically pleading to Susan Atkins to spare the life of her unborn child. Instead, the heartless Atkins held her while the murderous monster Watson engaged in the night's final atrocity. In keeping with their plan, Atkins smeared the word pig on the front door in Sharon's blood before the group departed for the ranch. Upon arriving, they gave Manson a full report of the night's activities, and all retired to a sound sleep, except the haunted Manson, who feared this was too sloppy a job to suit their purpose. The following night, he would personally direct a death squad to its target and supervise the affair. On the night of August 9th, Manson would randomly select the home of grocer Lino LaBianca and his wife Rosemary as the next scene of mayhem. Manson led Tex Watson, Patricia Krenwinkel, and Leslie Van Houten into the house and instructed them to bind the hands of the frightened couple. To calm them, Manson offered assurances that they wouldn't be harmed, then hastily departed to allow Watson and the girls to begin their grisly task. The brutality and carnage that followed was reminiscent of the Tate slayings in every respect, with the additional gruesome element of Mr. LaBianca's corpse bearing the word war carved into the flesh of his belly next to a large protruding fork. Yet to the chagrin of the perpetrators of this senseless series of killings, the police perceived no immediate link to the murders of Hinman, Tate, and LaBianca. In a short 2-year period, Charles Manson had managed to completely betray the peace-loving ideal of his spiritual birthplace, and was now a crazed, desperate figurehead to a clinging, murderous mob. Part 2 of our story explores Manson's exodus to Death Valley, his capture and trial. We'll also examine the fate of his past followers and the phenomenon of his present ones. The mysterious murder of Sharon Tate and her companions on August 8, 1969, caused a flood of fear in the Hollywood community. The sales of padlocks, guard dogs, and security systems skyrocketed overnight. In the press, theories abounded and many false leads would be widely publicized, further complicating the investigation process by police. The first suspect to be questioned would be the occupant of the guest house, William Garretson, who claimed he heard no screams or